By the way, I need to throw this out there. I am starting to really, really, really be impacted by the lack of fans when it comes to sports. So I'm curious how my thoughts will be when the Sixers come around, even though I just talked about how excited I am for them. Last night, I watched Duke and Michigan State, and I watched the second game as well between Kansas and Kentucky. But the empty Cameron Indoor Stadium had such a big impact on the product that I was watching where I questioned if I should change the channel. It was that bad for me. And look, I understand the circumstances, what we're going through, and I should be happy that basketball is at least on the TV, but it really hurt the product for me last night.
Well, I think it's a horrible take by you, but we'll ask somebody who knows a lot about this stuff. That's Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, Spain and Fitz, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9, except for tonight on 97.3 ESPN. The Jimmy V Classic is tonight here on 97.3 ESPN Radio. Jason, always glad to have you back on the show. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, too. Really I always look forward to coming on. It's always a blast. So, hope you guys had a great holiday, and it's good. I heard the take on Cameron, and look, it feels weird. It feels strange, but we got used to it in every other sport. That's all I'll say. But I will say that Michigan State did a better job in their games earlier this year by having some sort of backdrop to all of it. I'm a little surprised whenever I see a broadcast that doesn't look well thought out in that sense. And so I think college basketball will figure that out over time. I hope they'll figure it out, but I just hope they get the dang games played.
I think it's just a bad take by Hunter because of the fact that it tells me that obviously the environment of the game matters more to him than the actual game. Bro,
well, to be fair, it's a big part of why we enjoy sports, right? The atmosphere, the crowd. I went back and I watched 2009. Listen to this ridiculousness. I went back and watched 2009 Game 7 Red Wings Penguins all the way through 2 nights ago, and I couldn't believe the atmosphere. I had goosebumps.
I love atmosphere, but also has it not been cool, like hearing the adjustments of the line in NFL games? Like, I do think that there's a little element that what the NFL, we continually trash the NFL for everything they do. Well, they managed to find a way as a sport to broadcast these games in a way where you don't feel the lack of crowd in most of the shots. You don't necessarily feel the strangeness of the environment. And by the way, they've gotten the games played. So I think that while you're right, yes, the minute I was walking through the halls at ESPN the other day, and there's a picture of the women's soccer team with a crowd behind them and everybody celebrating. And I thought about that moment, like how I take for granted how much I miss what it's like to hear the roar of a crowd on a touchdown. But I'm still going to say, hey, given what we were talking about this summer, I'll take whatever lameness we get out of experience of watching it if it means we get actual games.
Speaking of actual games, we're going to have the Steelers and Ravens kicking off today at 3:40. We talked about this before you came on. Thanks to the Rockefeller tree lighting ceremony. And apparently, Jason, NBC, they make some of their most money per year in this order: NFL, SNL, and lighting up a tree for Christmas.
Hey, you know what? 5 years ago today, I played the Rockefeller tree lighting ceremony. So I'm a little biased to it. I did it when I was in the music business. We did the experience on it. I was stunned as somebody that has played that tree lighting experience. I am stunned that they didn't move things around for the NFL because we all know Sunday Night Football and what it means for ratings for ABC. So the fact that it's already been moved to Wednesday is a statement in and of itself. I think this has to have a lot to do with sort of the powers that be and everybody sitting there saying, hey, we don't want the perception that we put off this event. And the other side of it is when it comes to the Rockefeller with the tree lighting, there are so many music acts and so many entertainment acts involved. I would just imagine that for NBC, it's a bit of a nightmare to go back to everybody and say, okay, we're going to delay by a day because for any of those performers that are live in that moment, they may not be able to. So, it's a tricky situation for NBC to be in, but I'm stunned that a tree lighting takes priority over the football game.
Well, maybe they should have just recorded it like the Dallas Cowboys did with Kane Brown. I mean, I never heard of Kane Brown before that thing, and I went and added some of his music to my Spotify list after that. I didn't care that he was recorded. I mean, you're telling me that Dolly Parton couldn't have recorded whatever she's doing tonight?
I mean, some of it is pre-recorded every year because they can't put that many acts on at once. So they actually have a crowd, for every year. They have a crowd a day or two before the actual lighting ceremony, and about half the acts perform on a different night, and then it's all spliced together in one special. So, yeah, they absolutely could have done that, but if they were trying to, and I don't even know who's playing it, frankly, this year, but if they've got a big name that they were doing tonight with the crowd, maybe they were concerned that they couldn't move it a day. But I just, to me, it's short-sighted, especially considering that NBC in the past has found a way to broadcast things on other networks. Like, I'm just a little surprised that they felt that it was a bigger win to put it on, in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday. The numbers are going to be terrible on that thing.
Yeah, it's going to be totally bizarre. Jason Fitz joining us, Spain and Fitz, here on 97.3 ESPN 7 to 9, Monday through Friday. Jason Fitz also has the rankings reaction show presented by Cheese. And I was watching you guys last night, and I am 100% on board with your conspiracy theories for the college football playoff, because it's an embarrassment that they think that a 2-loss Georgia and a 2-loss Iowa State are so much better than some of these other teams. They just keep kicking BYU down the list, and they keep kicking these other schools in the face. It's like they just don't really respect the fact that, you have to win games.
Well, and that's the most stunning part to me. Like, losses matter to me. I don't want to be oversimplified here, but losses matter. And then even if you want to apply the eye test, I think that BYU could beat Georgia on a neutral field. I would challenge anybody that hasn't watched BYU or is just hearing about the hype now, go back and watch. They have a mobile quarterback that is going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. They have an offensive line, as Joe Luke Jr. pointed out last night, that is playing better than anybody's given them credit for. They are electric. They can score on anybody, including that Georgia defense. And last time I checked, that Georgia offense has been absolutely awful at times over the course of this. So I'm not going to look at it and say, well, now they've changed quarterbacks, and suddenly that means they're a top 10 team. If that's the case, if we're only going to go by the eye test, then what's the justification in putting Ohio State at 4? If they're going to turn around and say, well, they haven't played enough games, then why are they going to then tell Georgia that, you played games, but the losses don't really count? It feels like the committee is constantly chasing its own tail on how it analyzes this stuff. And the Iowa State thing really bothers me. How do you jump up 4 spots in the poll with the playoff committee when you barely beat a Texas team that isn't any good? It just that makes no sense to me at all.
I hate to be the negative guy today, but another thing that's really hurt me with these sports, even though I understand I should be appreciative that they're at least playing these games, well, most of the teams, but the college football playoff and the way that they normally do it is already controversial as it is. To add this element of not enough games and what's happening here and this team canceled, it's hard to really follow, what's really going down and who has the edge on some of these teams, because you don't know what squads are going to play each weekend. And with that being said, what are your thoughts on this whole Michigan situation where maybe they're doing this on purpose so Ohio State can't get in?
The thing of it is, everybody, we had a conference call today to prep one of our shows that we do every Saturday, Countdown to Game Day. And I got sort of chided by some of the people there because I've echoed the same thing that Herbie said. It makes total sense to me. If you're Harbaugh and you're looking at, hey, do I really want to put guys at risk? This team has not been particularly good this year. We all know it. Do we really want to go out and get our butts kicked by Ohio State when there is a COVID-19 risk? Now, we'll sit this one out. Like, I can make those dots connect. And, so I don't think it's a far-fetched theory at all. And Ohio State at this point needs everybody to play nice with them. So that's difficult to do. We've already seen Florida State decide that they weren't comfortable playing against Clemson because Clemson had somebody that was positive on the team playing. So why can we just suddenly presume that Michigan State and Michigan wouldn't do the same thing? So I don't think it's clear and simple. The problem with this process in its entirety could be solved one way, and it's what the committee refuses to do. Frankly, if they put every single committee member up on a stage afterwards with the microphone in front of them, made them talk about who they voted for and why, and be transparent about their process, it would end all of this.
They'll never do that because we all know at the end of the day, the secrecy is what allows them to hide behind some of their decisions. It's kind of like when you have someone get nominated for any award. It's like, that's why I love the Baseball Hall of Fame process. It's like some of these guys have to come out and admit, I voted for this person. But most of these votes, nobody actually gets up and admits who they voted for or didn't vote for, Jason.
Yeah, well, and I hate that. And you're right. I've made the point before that the committee should speak, and everybody always says, hey, I wouldn't have a job if the committee spoke because I couldn't react to things if they just answered a question. So I hear that, and I love getting the work, and I love covering college football. But this year, this year more than ever, we just need some level of transparency.
Let's transition to the NFL. I want to get your current thoughts on this Philadelphia Eagles team as they fall on Monday Night Football to the Seattle Seahawks. The Carson Wentz drama, the Doug Peterson drama, the Howie Roseman drama continues. What's your overall thoughts on this team now as we speak?
This has got to be the most stunning thing we've seen in a long time in the NFL. And I genuinely mean that, not just because I'm talking to you guys. To see a quarterback, and look, everybody knows my Raiders fandom, but one of the reasons that I constantly said, hey, I believe Derek Carr can win in this league is because I've seen it happen before. When you see a quarterback play at a very, very high level, then you think, okay, I know they've got it in them, so now it's up to the coaching staff to find that opportunity to do it. One of the things that has really stunned me, when I talk to analysts that watch all of this and they keep talking about the play calling, like where has the creativity been? But also, where's that pocket play is what I like to call it. Like where you've got, hey, my quarterback's got no rhythm. I got to help him get into it. So I'm going to get him, just like a jump shooter, I'm going to get him that one thing that I know he's really comfortable with. Like that has never happened throughout the course of the year. And I understand that everybody's saying it's everybody else's fault, that you could turn around and say, hey, there's a quarterback issue. Well, the quarterback can say there's a coaching issue, and then everybody can say there's not enough talent around him. But how did we get here so fast from a team that was expected to be very good this year? And guys, I have a real problem with anytime you're trying to work this out. That's genuinely what they're trying to do. Work it out. I have a problem with giving Jalen Hurts more reps. As much as I love Jalen in college, at some point, the message you just sent to Carson Wentz is that it's Carson Wentz's problem. And so Carson's looking at the coaching staff like they're a bunch of traitors now, and the coaching staff's trying to blame Carson Wentz, and everybody's protecting themselves. So realistically, because of Carson's contract, he's not going anywhere. And everybody else in that building should right now be scared, because we have not seen a team go from good to this level of bad unexplainably this fast in a very long time. It's a gross thing for a fan base that deserves better.
So with that being said, do you think it's too quick to fire Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl a handful of years? And I think the best way to put it is, do you keep a coach just to keep a coach because he won the Super Bowl? Or does he give you the best possible chance to win another one moving forward? How do you kind of balance those two statements?
If I think there's a better coach on the market, I'd go get him. And to me, this is all about, look, we wouldn't be patient. If Carson Wentz had been the quarterback in that Super Bowl, not Nick Foles, would we suddenly forgive the way he's playing right now? I don't think so. They can't get out of Carson Wentz because of the contract. Every insider I've talked to has said that there's nothing that can happen contractually. He's going to be in Philadelphia. So now that we know that, now you got to look at Howie Roseman and say, okay, why did you do a deal that pinned you in, and then turn around and also draft a quarterback in the second round? Like, that makes no sense. I think there needs to be better accountability there. And if we believe the roster isn't good enough, then Howie Roseman should be looking for a job. And then the other side of it is, can anybody that's watched the Eagles this year say, you know what? What's really helped is the coaching has been creative, and it's made the best out of a team that maybe wasn't talented enough. I'm not saying that. Are you? So with those two answers, to me, it's clear. Like, you make change, not for the sake of making change. I don't really care if they won a Super Bowl a few years ago. As a Raiders fan, I don't care if John Gruden wins the Super Bowl this year. If in 3 years the team stinks, I want them to do what's best for the team in that moment. And that looks like it's changed because everybody involved in this process has not done the job well enough.
He's Jason Fitz. You can catch him on weeknights, 7 to 9, Spain and Fitz here on 97.3 ESPN, except for tonight because of the Jimmy V. Even Invitational. And Jason Fitz joins us as all guests on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Jason, before I let you go, I have one thing to say to you. You having the Matrix 4 as low as you did on your movie list is really, really bad job by you.
You know what? Like, the Matrix 4 is, I can't decide. So I had this moment, like everybody, I'm a big 80s rock fan. I grew up on Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses and all that stuff, right? So like a few years ago when Guns N' Roses made their big comeback tour and they were playing stadiums everywhere, I had friends say, "You're going to go?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know. I don't know if I can really handle Fat Axl Rose singing. Like, I don't know if I can handle that in my mind." And so I'm a little afraid. You know, I know that everybody's still involved, but it's been so long. I'm a little afraid that Keanu Reeves, who, is not exactly going to win, a bunch of awards for his acting in the first place, is going to come in and just be a little too Keanu Reeves for me. Like, so I'm scared. I'm nervous about it, but I hear you. I'm nervous about it. Not as nervous as I am about Coming to America 2, which does not need to happen, but at least it made the list.
Well, look, if you have any doubts about if The Matrix 4 can be good, if you haven't, go watch Carrie-Anne Moss play the role she does on the Netflix shows with Jessica Jones and all of them, because her character is fire, and that performance, let alone, gives me hope for Matrix 4.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. And if at the very least it just lets me rewatch all of this stuff, like, I'm in for it. Like that it may have needed to be a little higher on the list, but my love for Halloween movies just absolutely had to put those at the top.
Yeah, well, that's where you and I separate, because I can do without all the horror movies. They put me to sleep half the time, and I'm more of a sci-fi guy, but that's just me. So, Jason,
we'll find middle ground together. You know, I'll give The Matrix 4 a better chance if you give Halloween Kills a chance. That's all I ask.
As long as I have to go watch Halloween Kills by myself, I'll give it a chance. How about that? I'll compromise there for you.
I'll come up to Philly. We'll do it together. The world will be normal by then.
Yeah, when we get back to normalcy, you'll be like, what are you going to do? Oh, we're going to go watch a movie. And it's like, didn't you already do that the entire pandemic?
Yeah, but we're going to have movie theater popcorn, and that will make it feel better.
Definitely. Every movie is better with movie theater popcorn. We can definitely agree with that. All right, see, we came to a common ground here on a Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Jason Fitz, Spain and Fitz, 7 to 9 on 97.3 ESPN. Always appreciate your time, my friend.
You're the best. Have a great week. Appreciate you.